Hello, and welcome to another episode of Challenging Conspiracies with Crafty Keela. Today's video will concentrate on the accusation that science is a new religion, based on nothing but faith in the new pastors, the scientists. This series is a sociological look at how and why conspiracy theorists put forward their argument. This is an important component in understanding why their ideas sometimes stick. Please remember to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Hit the notification bell to receive updates on my latest videos. The biggest accusation thrown in the faces of scientists is that science is a new religion, and that they are the new priests, pastors, or reverends. Science, it is claimed, is nothing but a hoax, designed to enslave the sheeple. It is never fully explained to what ends the scientists are attempting to achieve beyond power and wealth. I'm not going to explore the merits of religious belief here, because it's irrelevant to the argument. However, I do want to explore the link between globe denial and religious fundamentalism, particularly Christian extremism. We will look at what moderate Christians have to say about the possibility of a flat earth, and finally I will address the idea of science being a new religion. I am very pleased to have a special guest on this episode, so stay tuned to see what they have to say on the topic. There is a significant number of globe deniers who cross over with religious fundamentalism, particularly the young earth creationism sect. There are many debates of the same old faces proclaiming that A, the earth is flat, and that B, the earth is approximately 6,000 years old, created by a deity. And whilst they are free to hold that belief, it is curious that without needing evidence of their deity's existence, they will deny scientific evidence which has been proven on multiple occasions. They often use the blind faith argument spoken about in a previous video, to insult those who accept the evidence of a globe earth. These types of globe deniers will claim that they are simply skeptical of mainstream ideologies, whilst believing in a religious text with multiple unknown authors and is unverifiable. They tend to fall back on old superstitions. The superstitious tend to be completely opposed to any sort of advancement or progress. This is due to a feeling of alienation or lack of control within the society in which they live. Superstitious people tend to be hostile towards things that they don't understand and revert back to a Puritan, biological viewpoint. It is important to state here that not all Christians, not even fundamentalist Christians, believe that the earth is flat, no more than they believe in capital punishment for stealing or that women should be slaves to men. Most Christians believe that the word of the Gospels trumps the messages of the Old Testament. Like Moses of the Old Testament, Jesus was a direct messenger of God to show his people the way to live good and fulfilling lives. It's not that the Old Testament becomes irrelevant, but the lessons of the New Testament are what most Christians lean on for guidance. So what do the leaders of Christianity think of globe deniers? Well, several pastors throughout the USA have been quite vocal and extremely clear on the issue.
Don't come to me trying to change my mind, especially on foolishness. If someone comes to me and tries to tell me that there's lizard people that are shapeshifters and everything else, I won't entertain that for a second. Now look, everyone could say, okay, that sounds really ridiculous. Well, there's people out there that believe that. Okay, but that is an example of something that I won't even entertain the thought of. I'm not going to sit here and have a debate and a discussion about you. I put the flat earth in the same category as that.
We've got people out here that are changing the gospel, completely changing it. They're telling people that the gospel is a flat earth. Yeah. The flat earth is the gospel. The shape of this earth has nothing to do with the gospel. Nothing. So what does that mean, preacher? It means that we've got a bunch of people, the only thing they're concerned about is the shape of this earth, and they're obsessed with it. Yeah. And they're condemning anybody who doesn't agree with them. Right. And it makes me seriously doubt that they know anything about the Lord. They certainly are theologically ignorant. I mean, they're dumb as a coal bucket.
People write me, Pastor Jennings, I believe the earth is flat. Who cares? Find the edge and walk off.
There you have it. The message from Christian leaders is that the flat earthers do not represent them. They are dangerous to the faith and even distort the teachings of the Bible. The question then remains, is there any substance to the accusation that science is simply a new religion? Firstly, when they make this claim, it is projection. What Globe Deniers are doing is judging everyone who defends science by their own standards and turning it into a negative. They are perfectly happy to have blind faith when the ideology backs up how they choose to live their lives. Secondly, as their own documentary explains,
science is just the search for truth, right? Science is a way of thinking, starting at I don't know, then chipping away at the I don't know through evidence with no motive on where it takes you. And you come up with a new idea, and the first thing that's going to happen is 10 people are going to try to figure out why it's wrong. Okay, it's called institutional disconfirmation. So when you have conviction, it's really well earned. So to have a vendetta against that is a little odd.
It is here I would like to turn things over to my special guest to cover. Over to you, BlueMarbleScience.
The question of whether science is a religion often comes up, and to that I would say no. Science is not a religion. Conversely, the question of whether religion is a science also comes up, and to that I would also say no. Science and religion are two completely separate fields, and they're very different in their principles and their concepts. The principles that apply to religion often do not apply to science. Religion is completely and solely based on faith, while science is totally based on logic. The existence of a God is one of the chief concepts in any religion. According to the Christian religion, the universe was created by God in a span of 6 days, and there is no further explanation required. God is omnipotent. God can do that if God chooses. Science has its own way of doing things, and it really has nothing to do with religious beliefs whatsoever. It's always based on logic. For us to accept something to be true, there should be some level of proof. There has to be some logical, testable, verifiable, repeatable evidence to the exclusion of any other concept before any hypothesis is accepted as true. And that has to be universal anywhere in the world. Newton's laws have to be the same in Asia as they are in Australia. But the important point is this. Scientific laws require evidence. Scientific laws require some level of proof. Religion only requires an unquestioning faith. So is science a religion? No, it isn't. Is religion a science? I don't think it is. Are the two things mutually exclusive? No, of course not. Religions differ from place to place. Science is the same wherever you go. They're two different concepts. It's as simple as that.
Thanks, Blue. The simple fact is that if all of the religious textbooks were destroyed, in 1,000 years from now, the principles would reflect the society in which they are written. Look at the glaringly obvious change in direction from the vengeful God of the Old Testament and Jewish scriptures to the loving God of the New Testament. This is largely due to the massive shifts in living and moral conditions of the times that they were written for. If you burned every scientific book, on the other hand, in 1,000 years the math would be the same, so therefore the scientific principles would likely remain very similar. The question that people should keep in mind when talking to these types of globe deniers is, what is a reliable narrator? Now, fans of literature will be familiar with this concept. It is the concept that any story told relies on a narrator to pass it on to the reader. For religion, it relies on emotion. It relies on faith in unverified sources and authors, with concepts that are beyond human understanding or knowledge. For example, deity or deities, depending on your religion, the origins of life, history of the world or the universe. These are things that religious people think are beyond human understanding. Science also has a narrator. They are called scientists. However, these narrators tend to speak with pure logic, often pushing emotion aside. For example, Darwin and the origin of species. Humans are sociable, emotional beings. So it's often difficult for humans to put emotion down. Those that can work off a different linguistic framework, where to the emotional, being told that you are wrong is interpreted as a type of rejection, and the emotional aim to limit their exposure to that kind of ridicule. But to the scientist, being proven wrong is interpreted as a benefit to help drive a person's understanding of that particular issue. You must decide yourself which form of narration is more reliable. Contrary to the way they present themselves, many Globe Deniers do ascribe to blind faith, as they have a belief in a deity they cannot prove exists. Again, that is fine. Their belief in religion is their own, and it's their right to have. However, there is a significant difference between blind faith and trust.
It's funny, sis, you don't question what you believe. You cannot. I must.
We place our trust in scientists because of the reasons Blue mentioned. We trust scientists because they have put in the work over many years of study and practical research to gain social trust. As I said in a previous video, trust is not a weakness. Blind faith is based on superstition and rooted in ignorance. It can be detrimental to society progressing. In the next video, I will compare the models, or lack thereof, and examine why so much emphasis is placed on such forms. If you would like to support my channel, there are a few ways you can. Click like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates. Share this video. And there are more ways to support this content in the description below. Thank you for your support and stay safe.